Today, we will be talking to Lee Davidson, our Chief Data Officer. And we're super excited because we have a great topic. So what are we going to be talking about, and why are we so excited?
Jordan, oh my gosh, I'm so inspired by Lee. He's incredibly smart and charismatic, and he makes storytelling around data just gripping.
Yeah, he took a very complex topic and made it simple enough for me to understand. I love talking to Lee. I love talking to smart people like Lee. Leaders like him just make you want to buy in. The guy is awesome. And if he can share that fantasy football algorithm with me, he's going to be my all-time favorite, especially if I win.
Yeah, my sons too. No, I'm really excited. One of the things we've been talking a lot about in our service team is the knowledge base we have that helps our service team support our advisors when they call in. And as that technology starts to improve, we're going to be able to serve our advisors faster on the phone. Having Lee kind of at the forefront of helping us to expand and enhance our knowledge in our data overall, and then be able to layer these AI tools on top is just riveting to me.
I'm Jordan Harrison.
And I'm Ann Hutchinson.
And this is AM Radio.
We are so excited to have with us as a guest today our Chief Data Officer, Lee Davidson. Lee, welcome.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here?
Well, it was totally, absolutely lucky that I got the call to to come join AssetMark. It's like, hey, we need some help with data. Can you come help us out? And be like, I would love to. Since I was in college, I've just been enamored with helping advisors, investors succeed. The first exposure I had to this was through an organization called MoneyThink. And it kind of promotes data literacy in college campuses and high school campuses around the United States, just teaching people the basics of budgeting. And that mission has always resonated with me my whole career. And AssetMark, just the culture here of helping advisors serve their clients to get better outcomes is just phenomenal. And so they're like, hey, we need a data guy. I was like, hey, sign me up. This sounds great. So yeah, no, it's been wonderful.
Now, you shared with us that you worked early in your career at Morningstar in client service.
Yeah.
How was that? What was that like?
So coming out of the 2008 financial crisis, when I came out of college, it was not the easiest thing to find a job, but I got really lucky. I got a job at Morningstar, and I was so thrilled to join Morningstar because their mission is all about illuminating investing, helping investors make good decisions with data, with information. And my first job was on customer support for a product called Morningstar Office, which is targeted to advisors. And it was kind of an all-in-one billing, performance reporting, CRM, research solution. And as customer support rep, I got to talk to advisors every day. I talked to 50, 60, 70 advisors, everything from, hey, can you help me fix my password? I forgot my password, to how do I run this report for my client? How do I report on what's been happening? And I did that job for about a year and a half. I just got to have a front row seat to the importance of financial advice in people's lives and why it's so difficult to be an advisor. Just a lot of empathy for that. That's where I started, and I've been happy to be on that mission ever since.
What was your mission statement? What is the first thing that you're kind of looking at to improve, work on, build?
Well, so AssetMark is such an incredible organization. The leadership team here really practices what they preach when it comes to advisor success, investor success, and being within the company. I've been so impressed with how data-driven the decision-making is here. It really is impressive. And so that culture and the readiness to, I think, embrace some more modern and newer technologies and ways of working was just really resonated with me. My strategy kind of how we're going to be working here within AssetMark the next couple of years is really boils down to three things: modernize how we treat data, the data supply chain, establish a culture of data stewardship, and then democratize access to data across the organization to really drive and fuel that decision-making spirit that's already present. So that's kind of where we're aiming. A long way to go, but just really impressed with the ground here and ready for some transformation.
You're looking into working with some of our advisors around the AI topic and building an AI advisory board. Do you want to share with us what that's going to look like and what you're hoping to get out of it?
We're a platform in the midst of this amazing community. We touch a lot of different advisors and by extension, a lot of different investors. And I think we have a role to play in how we can evolve our business and our value proposition to help advisors on their journey to scale their practice. And so I'm excited to be starting this advisory board to get some feedback on how we can do that the best way possible, how we can keep advisor success at the center, how we can help them scale their practices. And really, I think what motivates me a lot is how we can scale advice to more and more people in this country, because I think that's a social good that really is in need of pushing the boundaries of. And I'm so happy to be at a company that wants to do that.
If you don't mind, kind of for me, for anybody else out there who may have the same question as me, when we say AI, what do we mean? Because I know that there's different types. There's generative AI. There's other types. What do we mean when we say AI on our platform?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I can tell a little bit of a story too. So my first big break came in kind of doing some machine learning, which is like the first classical applied case about maybe 10, 15 years ago. And so I remember I was right after my customer support job, I was a mutual fund analyst. So I was researching mutual funds. And I had developed on the side this like little fantasy football algorithm that what it did was it would scrape the internet for all the expert opinions about who's going to play well that week, who are the best players, and how to optimize your lineup. And I had been using it in a bunch of different leagues, a machine learning algorithm with like kind of linear portfolio optimization and with inside of it. And I was winning all these leagues. And then my boss comes over and he's like, "Hey, can I borrow your algorithm from my league?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, sure." He borrows it. He wins his league that year. And then he comes over at the end of that season. He goes, "I think we should start a quantitative research group." He's like, "Do you want to be on it?"
Easy leap.
Easy leap. So that was my big break, was fantasy football and machine learning. But that was kind of the first classical case where once we had compute, technical ways to do computing at scale through the cloud revolution, it unlocked a new generation of use cases. And so some of the first things that you might have seen, like, right, we experienced Netflix's recommendation engine. So give me some different things about me, and we could do what's called kind of supervised learning, where I have a bunch of examples historically of how Anne likes to make decisions, what movies she likes, and how Jordan, what movies you like, and we can use that training data and kind of supervise it to say, pick the next thing that you would like. That's what we call kind of machine learning. And that had a nice like decade-long run, a bunch of use cases. Now we're entering into an era, totally different modeling paradigm, large language models, which I think we're more classically thinking of as AI. So we can't predict necessarily what it will do exactly next when we prompt it, right? That's kind of part of the magic and the fun with it. Whereas those machine learning algorithms are very frequently deterministic. Like once you train it, you set it, it's A goes in, B comes out through the function. So it's just a lot more deterministic. Unlocks a whole new class of problems as we've all seen in our lives. So that's how I would distinguish it. I think those are the two big categories.
Well, I need his algorithm for fantasy football. So
I haven't updated this thing in years, but I need it too.
Lee, how important is quality of data in what you're building and what you're talking about?
I mean, so data is the fuel that makes these applications work, right? So the way I like to think about it, a lot of times companies who want to adopt AI, they want to go 0 to 60 and say, "Hey, we're going to go do something really cool." They have not gotten their data estate in order, right? And they're kind of been treating data as the exhaust of their operations, not as the oxygen of their operations. And so I think if we at AssetMark, we are treating our data as oxygen. We know how important it is to make great decisions with data. We treat it with respect. We treat it with integrity. We make sure we understand where it's all. And that culture, that kind of that crucible is what makes it possible to have good AI applications. Because at the end of the day, the AI is only as good as the data that you have. You need to have trust in it, and that's important.
And a lot of the data you're working with is really a foundation for all of AssetMark, not just AI-related tools, right?
It touches every single aspect. Increasingly, our lives are ruled by data, and so, but that's why we think about it as a democracy, right? Everyone needs to have access to good, clean, quality data to do the best work they can.
How might we use the data that we do have to transform the lives of our advisors or just improve their day-to-day operations?
I think we're all thinking about scale. How can we do more with less? We kind of come back to the mission statement that really resonates with me is how do we deliver more advice to more people over time, right? And the way we do that is we increase for an individual advisor the number of clients, the number of accounts that advisor can take on. For AssetMark, that means how do we increase the number of accounts that we can manage on our platform at scale? And scale doesn't happen unless you really invest in a quality data foundation, because increasingly decisions need to be made with lighter and lighter touch of people, or at least thoughtfully done in that way, which means automation, which means trust in systems, which means you have to have good data flowing through those things to make those types of decisions.
You know, AI can be a little terrifying for people, and I'm sure some advisors fear this sort of encroachment of AI into their business or their relationships. Do you have any kind of advice or thoughts about how you can allay that and bring make sure the human touch is still kind of forward, even as we build our data systems?
So I think that the messaging needs to be extremely consistent, that this is all about amplification of what we all are so special at. I think as advisors, as we're thinking about adopting AI, again, we come back to how do I scale my practice and do more, right? It needs to come from how do I take these AI tools and make them my own, emulate my behavior, make them extensions of me. And if you're nervous about where to start, well, don't start in the areas where you know that you really want to have that personal touch. I guarantee you there's some spots where you're like, yeah, you know what, my personal touch isn't adding a lot. Start there, experiment small, or just start in your personal life, right? I think a lot of us are doing that and see the power. So I would start small, start in an area that's low risk, but make a purposeful plan to have it extend your philosophy of giving advice.
So what does the next stage of AI look like at AssetMark as we continue to evolve?
Well, certainly there's a ton of stuff we want to do internally with how we operate, but I think of thinking about the value that the advisor can get from AssetMark, the thing I'm the most excited about is advisor talking points or portfolio commentary. And so one of the things we want to deliver as part of our value prop is to say, hey, here is a bunch of talking points that demonstrate what's happened in the last week, the last month, the last quarter, that can help you kind of tell the story of that portfolio to an end investor and build that confidence. So as you scale your practice, you've got more portfolios to be on top of. We're helping you get on top of those that much faster when it comes time to tell that portfolio story.
Very cool.
Well, so Jordan, how did you get started with AI? How did you get comfortable with it? What was some of your first use cases that you found in your personal life?
Personal life, you're gonna laugh at me for this, but it helped me write my proposal to my fiance. You got to say a little something. I needed some ideas, and so I hope she's not listening to this podcast. But
did you tell her?
No. So this is new information for her. They didn't write the whole thing. I had to put the Jordan touch on it, but it definitely laid the groundwork.
I think that's what a lot of people do now. It's the first draft. ChatGPT spits out the first draft, which is always the hardest, and then you layer yourself on top of it.
Yeah, it's a first draft machine. I remember I did one with my daughter when she was 6, maybe. She wanted a bedtime story, and we were on a vacation. I didn't have a book with me, so I asked ChatGPT, write me a bedtime story. We want princesses, we want a dragon, whatever it was, and yeah, got one. Boom, bedtime routine was locked. There you go.
That's phenomenal. I love ChatGPT. I sometimes call it my bestie, but I recently discovered you can take a picture of almost anything. So I had a house plant that wasn't doing very well, so I took a picture of the house plant, uploaded it, and I said, what kind of plant is this and what's wrong with it and what does it need? And it tells you it's this plant. It's not getting enough water or enough light. Move it somewhere slightly away from a window or whatever. But it just tells you immediately in 1 second. The tools are evolving and they're exceptional.
Absolutely.
Lee, the passion for what you do permeates. Got to ask, what keeps you going? What got you into this and why do you still love it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't self-reflect on this terribly much. I just wake up and I get excited about this stuff. I think as a kid, reading fantasy novels, science fiction, big video gamer, I started thinking a lot about these types of stories and how technology can improve things. And then I got into college and started to see more and more real applications of, and the importance of, like I told you earlier, financial data literacy, and how and so that just I started to see more and more stories of how helping just people manage their finances could really impact people every day. And so I just look at these two things, this mission, at least for my career, I've always been aligned to this mission of helping the end investor. And the thing that I feel like I'm the best at and that can help the most and I'm interested and passionate about is kind of the data and AI stuff. I remember early in my career, my second job, I was a fund analyst. And I was looking around at Morningstar, which is one of the best places to do fund research in the world, and everyone was so good at it. Everyone was so good at, oh, this portfolio manager does this trade, and this is how they work, and oh, when we talked to PIMCO and they did this, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, it's going to take me 30 years to be as good as these people. But the one thing that they didn't know how to do was to run a linear regression and to learn some statistical relationships. And I could add some value as an associate analyst by doing some basic statistics that team didn't. So you don't have to be the quarterback to add value to a football franchise, right? That we pay the offensive linemen, the receivers, the running backs, And every year, new talent comes in through the draft, right? And it's the same way with technology. We think about AI. This is a new wave of technology. We've had machine learning, we've had cloud computing, we've had the Internet of Things, we've had mobile devices. AI is just a new player that's been drafted by our team, and we can sub them in the right spots to add value. And it's still our mission to win the game, right? That doesn't change. Like success for an advisor, success for AssetMark, that doesn't change. But maybe our methods and our tools and how we get there, that maybe needs some changing.
As a lover of sci-fi and fantasy myself, what books inspired you or got you on this path as a kid?
You know, one of the books I've been thinking a lot about lately is the Foundation novels by Isaac Asimov. That was like in the 1960s, so godfather of science fiction. And one of the things he was tackling really early on was the alignment problem, the 3 laws of robotics, right? And that they can't harm humans. And I can't quote them verbatim off the top of my head, but that alignment problem is so critical. And I think as we're thinking about deploying these new intelligences into our daily lives, into how we work and how we deliver value, we have to be very mindful again, like how do we align it to do the most good for the most people in our industry? And it's really cool to see some of the big technology companies like Anthropic or others taking similar stances. And yeah, they wanted their commercial giants, they want to make money, but they're keeping that safety concern at the center. I think on the flip side, there was a book, one of my favorites, Neil Stephenson is an author that's frequently referenced in Silicon Valley for foreshadowing the next like 20 years of technology. He wrote a book that foreshadowed Bitcoin, like all these sorts of things. But his first book was this book called Snow Crash, and there's only 3 jobs that are left in the entire world because AI has taken everything. And one of them is a pizza delivery driver. That's the only job. And every night that pizza delivery driver logs into the metaverse every night. And I think as we go back to thinking about the human touch, like we definitely don't want to be going down the path of having the only jobs be pizza delivery drivers, and really want to be keeping the alignment of these tools focused on what matters to us, keep us in the driver's seat.
That's so great. I had mine was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I don't know if you remember.
Nice.
It's kind of a similar thing to this.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go find Snow Crash and read it now.
It's a good read. It's like 350 pages. Like you can knock it out in a weekend.
Lee, you talked to us about the democratization of data. And I'm really curious what that looks like for the AssetMark employee in the next 12 months.
The way I think about this is along 2 different dimensions. Are we making these tools available to our team members who are on the same mission, right? We're all on the same mission together. Are we making them available to the team members, and are they adopting them? And I think it starts with just measuring that. Are we giving people the right tools? And are we encouraging folks that it's okay to experiment? Like right now, it's a period of tremendous change. And I think giving folks the access, letting them identify their own objective functions and their own constraints and working around those and using these tools, I think is going to be really important. And then I think additionally, we need to be, I'm a big believer that you can't cut your way to profitability. So we're not looking at AI as a cost-cutting tool, right? It's all needs to be about growth. Like how does it enable the growth of the organization, the growth of our employee base, our career development? And so I think like that the use cases that we want to target are really about enabling growth for our advisors, our business, and our own careers, right? We know we're going to have to utilize these tools and be fluent in them if we want to be productive members of society for the next 20 or 30 years. I certainly hope to. I have a lot to learn. So I'm looking forward to cultivating that environment with everybody here. I think it's going to be really fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, we're looking forward to it too. Lee, thank you so much for coming onto the show today and giving us your time. I have got to get that algorithm from you whenever you get a chance to update it.
You got it, buddy.
Yeah.
You got it. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. I'm so inspired. It's really great. And I'm so glad you're here with us at AssetMark.
Yeah, wouldn't be anywhere else.
We are lucky.
I'm lucky too. That's great, guys. Thank you so much.
AssetMark Inc. is an investment management and consulting firm that helps independent financial advisors build great businesses. This is for informational purposes only, is not a solicitation, and should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. The information has been drawn from sources believed to be reliable, but its accuracy is not guaranteed and is subject to change. References to financial advisors and service providers are intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered an endorsement or recommendation of AssetMark. Each party is responsible for their own content and services. AssetMark and its affiliates may engage with providers for services. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. AssetMark Inc. is an investment advisor registered with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This content is protected by copyright attributed to AssetMark Inc. 2025. All rights reserved.